Hey, how's it going? My name is Wes. Welcome back to another lesson. In today's lesson, we are going to look at another verb lesson, so a yellow verb lesson. And in today's lesson, we are going to have a look at the verb ir, which in Spanish means to go. So today's lesson, we will look at all the different conjugations of the verb ir, to go. Alright, so now before we start this lesson, the verb ir is actually a very important verb to learn. Not only because we can use this verb to say I go or you go, but also because actually this verb is used to describe future tenses also. So we use this verb in combination with other verbs to describe a future tense. Now more about that specifically in a later lesson. But for now, I just want you to know that this is a very important verb to learn. So make sure to pay close attention in this lesson. Alright, so now before we start, as always, we can start with making our list. So you can pause the video right here if you want to, and then press play once you're ready to resume. Alright, so the verb ir, let's get into the first conjugation, which is the I form. So I go in Spanish is yo voy.
Yo voy. Yo voy.
Alright, so then as an example sentence, I go to the store. Yo a la tienda. The store, la tienda.
Yo a la tienda. Yo a la tienda.
And of course this is yo voy a la tienda.
Yo voy a la tienda. Yo voy a la tienda.
I go to the store. Now, in English, often we say I'm going to the store instead of I go to the store. And in Spanish, we don't really do this. We just say I go to the store because this word to, which in Spanish is a, so yo voy a la tienda, I go to the store. This letter a already in a way describes the movement. So when you say I go to the store, it already suggests that you are moving. So we don't have to change the verb like we do in English where you don't say I go to the store, but I am going to the store. We don't have to do that in Spanish. So I go to the store. Yo voy a la tienda, or as we learned, we can also leave out that first yo, because voy already tells us that we are talking about yo. So we can also just say voy a la tienda. Yo voy a la tienda, voy a la tienda. Alright, so then the next conjugation, you go, is tú vas.
Tú vas. Tú vas.
So yo voy, tú vas. I go, you go.
Tú a la escuela. Tú a la escuela. Tú vas a la escuela. Tú vas a la escuela.
And escuela, la escuela, looks a lot like the English word, the school. Tú vas a la escuela. So you go to the school or you are going to the school. Alright, so then the next conjugation, he or she goes, or you, in a formal way, go.
Él va. Ella va. Usted va.
So as an example, he is going to play tennis.
Él a jugar al tenis. Él a jugar al tenis.
And notice here that tennis is written with one N, because as I said in a previous lesson, we barely ever use double letters in Spanish. So tenis with just one N.
Él va a jugar al tenis. Él va a jugar al tenis.
Which means he is going to play tennis or he goes to play tennis. In English, we would likely say he is going to play tennis because it feels more natural to say it like that. And of course, we can also say ella va. So for example, she goes to a party.
Ella va a una fiesta. Ella va a una fiesta.
And we use una because la fiesta is feminine. So una fiesta, a party. And then the conjugation for usted.
¿Usted va a la fiesta? ¿Usted va a la fiesta?
So la fiesta, the party. Hey, what's up? It's Wes from the future. I'm sorry to interrupt this video. I just wanted to let you know that I also have a Patreon where you can get early access to the next video lessons. All you have to do is to click on the link in the description, which will take you to my Patreon page where you can sign up for early access to the next lessons. Because here on YouTube, I only upload one new video every week, So if you don't want to wait for a new lesson to appear and you already want to watch all of the new lessons, then you can do so by going to my Patreon. Alright, that's it for this short interruption. I'm sorry. Let's get back to the video. Alright, the next conjugation is the we form, nosotros or nosotras, vamos. Just like the vamos that we learned in the previous green lesson. Vamos.
Nosotros vamos. Nosotras vamos. Nosotros a la playa. Nosotros a la playa. Nosotros vamos a la playa. Nosotros vamos a la playa. Nosotras vamos a la playa. Nosotras vamos a la playa.
And again, it's important to note that vamos does not change into vamas because now we are saying nosotras. The verbs always stay the same. So vamos. Nosotras vamos a la playa. We go to the beach. If we are talking about a group of all females. Alright, so then the last three conjugations.
Vosotros vais. Vosotras vais.
So for example, you go to listen or you are going to listen.
Vosotros a escuchar. Vosotros a escuchar. Vosotros vais a escuchar. Vosotros vais a escuchar.
And when it's written like this, with the exclamation marks inverted at the beginning and at the end, that means that you're telling someone to do something. So you are going to listen. It's like an expression where you tell someone that they have to do something. If you use the exclamation marks like this. So you are going to listen. Vosotros vais a escuchar. Or, of course, when you're talking to a group of all feminine people, then you say vosotras vais a escuchar. And here we see that instead of saying it as an order, so with the exclamation marks, we actually write it as a question. So vosotros vais a escuchar. Are you going to listen?
¿Vosotras vais a escuchar? ¿Vosotras vais a escuchar?
So what I want to show you with this example is that in Spanish, what's very important to understand is that simply by adjusting the tone of voice in which you say a certain phrase, that can actually make a difference between whether you are giving someone a command or if you're asking a question. So in English, we say, you are going to listen. If we are talking about a command, so you are going to listen, but then we flip the whole sentence around if we want to ask a question. So instead of saying you are going to listen, we change it up and we say are you going to listen? So we change the actual sentence. In Spanish, it's very important to understand that we don't do this. So vosotros vais a escuchar means you are going to listen, but then if you simply just change the tonation of your voice, so vosotros vais a escuchar, which is exactly the same phrase. However, just because you say it differently with a different tone of voice, you now turn it into a question. So that's a big difference between the English and the Spanish language. And it's very important to understand that. Alright, enough with the talking. Let's move on to the next conjugation, which is ustedes.
Ustedes van. Ustedes van.
You go. So vosotros, vosotras vais, ustedes van. And vosotros or vosotras is used in Spain and ustedes is used in Latin America or in Spain as a formal way of saying you. So for our example sentence we have
Ustedes de vacaciones. Ustedes de vacaciones. Ustedes van de vacaciones. Ustedes van de vacaciones.
You go on vacation. Alright, then the last conjugation, ellos or ellas van. They go.
Ellos van. Ellas van.
And as you can see, the conjugation for ustedes and ellos, ellas is always the same. I already explained this in a separate lesson, but I like to learn these individually. So that's why I put these separately from each other. So ellos, ellas van.
Ellos al hospital. Ellos al hospital. Ellos van al hospital. Ellos van al hospital.
And notice here that instead of saying a el hospital, we are saying al hospital. So the a and el are now combined into al. So don't say ellos van a el hospital, because in Spanish this sounds a bit weird because you have to make very unnatural sounds. So ellos van al hospital, it doesn't sound right. So instead of saying a el, we change that into al. So ellos van al hospital, or ellas van al hospital. They go to the hospital. And as you probably already expect, I actually made a separate lesson which talks more into depth about this topic of changing a plus el into al, and also some other conversions that we make in Spanish to merge two words together. So more about that later. For now, I just want you to be aware that a el hospital changes into al hospital.
Ellas van al hospital. Ellas van al hospital.
Alright, so then let's have an overview of today's verb, the verb ir, which means to go. And as you can see, this verb ir is very irregular because ir changes into voy or vas or va. So there's nothing of the original verb ir to see anymore in the conjugations. So this would be considered a irregular verb. Alright, and then last but not least, of course, as always, I have some practice sentences that I made for you so that you can practice if you understand how to conjugate this verb. So if you want to practice, make sure to pause this video and then press resume or play once you are ready for the answers. Alright, and here are the answers. Alright, and that's it for this vocabulary lesson in which we learned the verb ir, to go, in Spanish. If you want to get an overview of today's lesson, you can do so by downloading the reference sheet as a PDF file. And for any other questions, you can always go to my website, SpanishWithWes.com. Alright, that's it for this lesson. I hope that this was helpful. And of course, I hope to see you in the next lesson, lesson number 34. Alright, adios.